This is the first video for chapter 3. This is inequalities and their graphs. In this video, we're just going to look at some introduction to inequalities and number lines and how to graph inequalities on a number line. So let's start with some definitions. An inequality is a mathematical sentence that uses an inequality symbol to compare the values of two expressions. So inequality symbols would be like less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. So yes, this bar that's underneath the less than or underneath the greater than symbol, that means or equal to. So I'll explain what those mean on the graph in just a moment. You can use a number line to visually represent the values that satisfy inequality. And again, we're going to look at that in just a moment. A solution of an inequality is any number that makes the inequality true. The solutions of the inequality, this is an example, x less than 5, are all real numbers x that are less than 5. Okay, so for example, any number less than 5 can be a negative whole number, like negative 10, can be a negative decimal, like negative 8.14, can be a negative fraction, like negative 3.5, can be 0, can be a positive fraction, can be a positive whole number, can be a positive decimal. Pi is a number that's less than 5. 3 7/8 is a mixed number. Any mixed number can be less, or that's less than 5 is a solution. 4.9 repeating is a solution. So it's an infinite number of solutions that are less than 5 that can be a solution. So I just kind of gave you some examples. All right, you can evaluate an expression to determine whether a value is a solution of an inequality, and we're going to be looking at that in this section a little bit and then the next couple of sections. You can use a graph to indicate all the solutions of an inequality. So let's look at some examples of some inequalities and their graphs. So first of all, for your number lines, I'm not worried about the numbers to the right or to the left. I'm just worried about what number is in the inequality. So n is less than 1. So we're going to write 1. And since there's not a bar underneath the less than symbol, then this means that the open dot shows that 1 is not a solution. Now, we're going to shade to the left of 1 because this represents everything less than 1. I kind of think of that less than symbol as an arrow saying, okay, point that direction. We're going to shade that direction. If you want to shade, that's fine. If you want to use a highlighter and shade, that's fine. We're going to be doing this on the computer anyway, so it's not a huge deal to me. Okay, A is greater than or equal to 0. So 0 is definitely on our number line. And this time, this little equal to symbol, that means to shade it, to close that dot. It means that 0 is included. So it does mean that 0 is a solution. And then again, this little arrow here that we're looking at is going to the right. So that means we're going to shade to the right of 0. So everything from 0 to the right of 0 is a solution. All right, let's look at another one. F is greater than negative 3. So negative 3 is on the number line. Since there's not a little bar underneath the equal to symbol, under the greater than symbol, then that means our dot is going to remain open. That means negative 3 is not included in the solution. So again, use this little symbol right here to indicate which direction we're going to shade. We're going to shade to the right of negative 3. So negative 3 is not a solution, but everything to the right of negative 3 is a solution. Okay, so look at this one. Notice that x is on the right. So when we're graphing, notice that all the other ones, the variable was on the left. So whenever you're graphing, I want you to switch the inequality around so that the variable is on the left. So when we put the x in the negative 2 and we switch that around, we also have to switch this around. So we want x to be less than negative 2. less than or equal to -2. So notice how here the arrow is pointing at the x. We want the arrow to still point at the x. So what this means is that -2 is on the graph, and it is included because of the equal to sign. So it is a closed dot. It shows that -2 is a solution. And once we have it graphed, and I have the x, on the left, now we can do the proper direction of the shading. So we're going to go to the left of -2. All right, so that's just some examples of what we're going to be looking at when we're graphing in just a few minutes. We have a couple more things on this page. Now, some students get confused with less than and is less than. Less than is, they do have two different meanings. For example, 6 less than k means that this is subtraction, and it's a turnaround word. So we're going to write k minus 6. While 6 is less than k, that word is makes it an inequality. So we're going to write 6 less than symbol and then k. Okay? Okay. All right, look on the back. We have a few words that you need to know that mean less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. This symbol right here is less than or equal to. And this symbol is greater than or equal to. Okay, so these are some words that mean less than or equal to. At most, no more than, maximum. I know that sounds really confusing, but what that means is those at most, no more than, maximum, that actually means everything can't be bigger than that. So we're going to look at that in just a few minutes. And then at least, no less than, and minimum is a symbol. We use the greater than or equal to symbol. All right, so this is the end of page 1, video 1. We're going to move next in our next video and look at some homework examples.